Rog, with a quick note, this pod was taped before the magical news broke yesterday that our United States women's and men's teams will receive the same financial reward for representing the nation to equal pay structure and that groundbreaking agreement to pool World Cup prize money. No other country has ever done this. It's remarkable and it's a huge relief. And I hope that the page can now be turned on a 6-year battle that has stained the game in our nation. And I loved reading this quote from Midge Purce yesterday morning in the New York Times. Midge, of course, is a guest host of this podcast and, more importantly, a member of the collective bargaining committee for the Women's Players Association. I feel a lot of pride, Midge said, that there are going to be girls who are going to grow up and see what we've accomplished and recognise their value instead of having to fight to see it themselves. Godspeed to Midge and all on both sides of the game who represent our nation. We'll no doubt discuss this seismic announcement on next week's show. For now, to the pod. You're listening to the Men in Blazers Media Network, Suboptimal Radio.
Sam Kerr on the move with Fleming. 2 against 1. Kerr takes it herself. She scores again. Chelsea in front for a third time.
It's Rog back with another episode of The Women's Game presented by Paramount Plus, and no better way to kick this off than with some Sam Kerr, who, over the course of the past double-winning season with Chelsea, has transformed her profile into a genuine bona fide global superstar. It's been magical to see because, well, there are few more joyous footballers to watch in this game than she, solidifying her status as one of the greatest big game players on the planet this past weekend, scoring twice to propel Chelsea to FA Cup glory over a ferocious Manchester City, just a week after Emma Hayes' mob clinched the Women's Super League title last weekend. We're going to talk more Sam Kerr and Chelsea in just a minute, but first, let me introduce you to our guest host, a more tenacious footballer you will not find. She is truly a singular athlete, actually a truly singular human being who's travelled a path most people would never have the courage, nor frankly the time management skills to travel. From Denmark and racing Louisville via Aarhus University Medical School, from which she just received a medical degree back in January. Welcome to the inimitable Dr. Nadia Nadim.
Hey Raj, thanks for that amazing introduction and hi to all the gorgeous listeners. It's me, Nadia.
I think for once, I actually undersold the guest, as we will discover. But Nadia, you're back in full training as of 2 weeks ago after 6 long months off to rehab a ACL injury. How does it feel to be back?
I love this game, and being in the gym for 6 months has been unbearable. I hate the gym, and finally being on the field feels freaking amazing. I love being there. I enjoy every second of it. You know, I'm like a little kid going crazy. It's my strength and coaches always have to be like, Nadia, easy now, easy now, easy now. Summer is here. Grass is perfect, and I'm trying to get in shape. Couldn't be better.
Are the first steps back after being out for so long? I mean, it's clear that they are excitement-filled, but is it even in the back of your mind? It doesn't sound like it. Is there any kind of psychology of fear caused by the original injury?
Most people would do, but my brain kind of works differently. I remember my first training session where I was allowed full contact. I was being the most aggressive player on the field and trying to almost kick everyone to see if my knees would hold. I think the only thing that psychology and mentally affects me is that you at times get frustrated because I want to do certain stuff, but I'm not there yet in terms of my shape.
As of January, in addition to being a professional footballer, you are, as I mentioned in the introduction, a qualified reconstructive surgeon, a degree that you've been pursuing for over a decade, balancing school with your professional career, a bit like Clark Kent and Superman, but in which both personas are super heroic. And you join in an exclusive rank of doctor footballers, up there with Socrates, the iconic headband-wearing, social justice-worrying Brazilian midfielder of the 1980s. And to become a doctor is a grueling journey of sacrifice. To do it while pursuing a career as a professional footballer, a grind in its own right. What does it feel like now you've finally gotten to the end?
It's been a long journey. And I remember the last 2 months before my exams, it's probably one of the hardest things I've ever done and experienced in my life. I was just exhausted mentally and physically because I was always in the gym because of my rehab. But coming on the other side, I feel 20 kilos lighter, and I'm so happy I've done it. I'm so happy that, I'm going to be in a position where I actually can have an impact on people's lives, and worth all the sleepless nights, everything that I kind of missed out on, definitely worth it. Great feeling, a big tap on my shoulder for doing it, because it kind of shows myself what I'm capable of, where my boundaries are, aka there are no boundaries. That's the beginning.
Where my boundaries are, aka there are no boundaries. Nadia, I'm looking at you and I'm seeing the complete opposite of myself in the most wonderful,
stop.
freeing way. I am 99% boundaries, but they do say doctors make the worst patients. Does it make it easier or harder to come back from an injury when you understand in detail medical terms exactly what you're up against?
In my case, I felt kind of helped me a lot, to be honest, in my journey. I kind of knew the main thing was knowing how far I can push it all the time without ruining something. And that's where I feel my medical knowledge came in. I knew, okay, this pain is normal. Oh, this pain feels a bit weird because I might have done something I shouldn't have. Always I knew, okay, I'm sore here because of this compensation. So definitely helped me a lot.
The medical angle is just one part of what makes your backstory one rife with marvel, because you're a Danish international footballer. You actually moved to Denmark when you were 12 years old, but you were born in Herat, a beautiful ancient city in western Afghanistan. Your father was a general in the Afghan National Army. What memories stick with you from those early days under Taliban rule?
I do remember most of it very vivid. And I always kind of describe this as 2 phases of my childhood. One phase before the war, everything was working fine. Had a father who was general, working a lot. My mom was school director. And then the other phase where Taliban gained power. My dad was executed. My mom and 5 girls on the run. Yeah, for a long time, tried to survive. And then it was a struggle to find a safe home, I guess. And the struggles led us to Denmark. We were given a second chance on life.
That tragedy, your father's loss, your mother and your sisters moving from Afghanistan to Denmark, is worthy of an entire podcast, actually worthy of an entire podcast series in and of itself. And one I honestly hope we'll make one day, because it is heartbreaking in terms of the loss. It's also awe-inspiring in terms of your courage in equal measure. But from the football story, it's such a remarkable moment. You're in a refugee camp when you first glimpsed the game. Through the fence of the camp, you saw a group of Danish girls playing soccer. Nadia, take us there to that moment, because you've said it was love at first sight.
Yeah, love/obsession. I guess I'm the obsessive type. Imagine being this bunch of young kids in a place where you have no idea what's happening, new language, new culture, people don't look like you. And we used to just hang around and try to figure out what's happening around the camp. And very soon we did discover that there was a sports club just beside the camp. And we used to go beside the fences and watch people train. First time I saw a girls team do any kind of sports. I've never seen women do sports, not on the TV, not anywhere. I didn't know that it existed.
You said that under Taliban rule, girls playing soccer would have been interpreted as an act of defiance.
If you see it right now, girls are not even allowed to go to school. It was kind of similar, if not worse, that time. So sports was not even something people would ask about. Seeing this Danish girl, seeing how free she was, the way she was moving. I just wanted to be like her. I wanted to have that power, that freedom. Until that point in my life, I felt like I was a passenger, just tagging along, trying to be alive and be there. That day I felt was the day I got my life back in my own hands. It was the first day that I saw football, because I was like, this is the tool that's gonna make it happen, you know. And I always describe it as the lights hitting me. Had one of those moments.
I love your quote. I knew that I needed to be on that field. I knew I had to play football.
Definitely. The love became obsession, and I'm obsessed with the game, and I love it. It makes me feel free. It makes me forget everything around what's happening. And it gives me confidence, because you can like progress in an hour. You can start with a skill you didn't know, and then an hour after you're like, I know this now. And that's probably my favorite thing about it. Beside that, it unites and teaches you so much about life.
I gotta say, kids listening who have gone through that torment, a hard time fitting onto a new team. Part of Nadia's story I marvel at the most is that you started playing with Danish kids before you even spoke a word of the language.
I didn't understand the language. I don't know what's happening. For the game, it didn't really matter. I was a part of the team, and just feeling that I was accepted the way I was an amazing feeling. And going for the same goal, trying to win, was even more amazing. And I might not have been the best footballer at the beginning, but I was a good athlete. I was fast and I was strong. And yeah, I started as a defender, and very soon they moved me up as a midfielder, and then I ended up as a striker. I'm meant to be a striker, I guess. That's how my journey started.
You know, I do love watching you play, because you are an incredibly feisty player, capable of bending the game to your will. You talk about the athleticism that made you a natural at the beginning, but your mental competitive fire, where does that come from? Was it something that you were born with, or is it a mindset that you've cultivated over the years?
Probably a mixture. I definitely will have it in my genes. You know, my dad was very competitive. My mom is, you wouldn't believe it, but she's super competitive. If you see her, just tiny lady, but oh my gosh, she is super competitive. And all my siblings have it, being among 4 girls, 5 in total. There was always competition about attention, who's going to be better, who's better in school, who's better. We used to compete even who's going to brush their teeth longest, me and my sister. It was a competition without we saying anything. And we could stand there for literally 10 minutes to see who's going to give up first. Playing cards at home is banned by my mom, because everyone is so competitive and everyone gets in the red zone. That culture has made me the way I am.
The first time I spoke to you, you told me a great formative story about you as a kid playing on the streets with your sister, who's a boxer, right?
Yeah, I have the scars on my arms still. Playing 1v1s with my sister, I remember, obviously I'm a better football player, but she would not make it easy. I remember that we literally were in blood everywhere, because she used to tackle me, but I wouldn't like do anything about it, keep scoring goals. And yeah, I came home, my shoulder bleeding, my hands bleeding, my knees bleeding. And my mom was like, you guys are freaking crazy. You should never play against each other. It just shows that, you know, competition and wanting to win is in me. I love winning and I hate to lose. And at a certain point, you do everything in your power to win, even if you get hurt.
You said to me that she would beat you bloody, but that you would laugh because you knew you were winning the fight mentally, despite the blood.
Exactly, yeah, because I knew she was breaking down. That's why she started being aggressive. And I was like, I have her now in my palm. Game over.
Last question about your journey, because I know anyone who actually sees you play will say this is self-evident, but it needs to be asked. Nadia, you are blessed to be able to do many things, to excel at many things. Why football?
For me, it's probably been fate that brought me a place where football was accessible. To be honest, without sounding arrogant, which I'm going to sound like it, still, I think no matter what sports I've done, I'll be very good at it. Because the way I am, the way my mind is, I want to learn, I want to be better, I want to be the best. But football, because it's easy, it's so easy to unite. I didn't need to understand the language. It was my first step into the Danish society. It was my first understanding of how everything works. It was my first step of understanding how I work. And I love the game. It sounds weird, but it literally makes me happy. And I can have a ball and be alone for hours and hours and I'll still have fun. That's the reason, because it's simple and complex at the same time, just like me.
To the football, and so much to cover in NWSL, which we'll get to in just a minute. But we need to start by talking Europe. Huge couple of weeks in European football with all the leagues winding down their seasons. It's business time. And we saw Chelsea women close out their season at the weekend by emerging triumphant after a breathless FA Cup final on Sunday, which went to extra time against Manchester City. In front of, it should be noted, a record crowd of 49,000 at Wembley Stadium. Sam Kerr opening up the game with a header on the line off a Millie Bright cross. And when I interviewed Sam back in 2019, she talked about how tap-ins were her favourite kind of goal because they were the easiest, and I thought about that comment in this moment. But she really does transform even tap-ins into an art. Erin Cuthbert scored a worldie from long range, but a potent City managed twice to draw back level, taking the game into extra time until Sam Kerr decided it, slamming the door shut with an exhilarating winner, picking the ball up deep, charging forward and launching it in off a defender from just inside the box. Sam Kerr, what a big-time player. Nadia, you overlapped with her as teammates on Sky Blue back in 2015. I think Sam would have been 22, possibly at the time. Still just a kid, essentially. Rora, still a couple of years out from global recognition. What was she like back then?
Amazing player. I loved playing with Sam. At that point, she was playing right wing. I was on the top and we had another left winger. She's such a natural striker, natural finisher. For me, what I love about her is that she's in her own world. She's always like fooling around, funny. But when game starts, as a machine, you know, you've always been told to be serious. And she's this person that has it in her, all of that. The way she's been killing it in England right now, oh my God, like what a player. And for me, what makes her great is there's certain players who score a lot of goals, but they disappear during big games. She almost comes alive during big games, big moments. And that's the true quality of a world-class player, that you perform when the pressure is at your max. That's definitely my favorite part of her. I also remember, you know, big games, she was always there. And having her around, always like fooling around, did enjoy her. I really liked playing with her, but also loved her as a person.
What is it about her that empowers that big game, big moment mentality? Honestly, in the FA Cup final, she did not have the greatest game by her standards, but she still defined it in key moments with the 2 goals.
Instinct, like a finisher. And when she gets the chance, I always say she needs half a chance to score 2 goals. That's the quality she has. She's always in the right spots. It's not because she's the best technician finisher, but it just like happens naturally. And yeah, and it works. For her, it's been working very well.
An interesting aspect of Sam Kerr's game. She talks about, and she said after the league clincher, I actually visualize scoring crazy goals all the time, which is almost an exercise in cosmic manifesting. It led to a spin, an impudent floater against Manchester United to win the league. And Nadia, you're a prolific goal scorer yourself. Have you spent many an afternoon imagining scoring that big goal in a key moment? You know, we've all done it, the dreaming. You guys actually make it real. What happens in a player's mind as you turn fantasy into reality?
That is so funny because I didn't know she was doing this. I do this all the time as well. I actually envision what's going to happen. Okay, game changer, 90 minutes, you're going to score. How am I going to celebrate? What's the emotions going to through me? And how am I going to shut everyone's mouth? These are like some of the thoughts you have before a game. It's true, it's the reality. But it's important because once you're in that position, you almost feel like, I know this, I know what I'm going to do. So it just becomes instinct without like you over-analyzing at the situation. You know how to execute the plan because you already done it. You're not going to choke because it can easily happen where you feel like, oh, the pressure is too much. But if you've already done it once, you're going to do it twice. Once
in your dreams, once in your reality. What must that feel like? I can only bloody imagine.
Whatever she does, like she should keep doing, you know, because as I said, it's a joy to watch her. And the goals she scores are, yeah, the one against Man United was a banger. And you just see, doesn't even think about it. It just happens in almost one motion.
It's interesting to talk to you about the Women's Super League because you, Nadia, are the rare player who has batted for the cycle. You played everywhere in the NWSL, in the French League, Division 1 Féminine. You left the NWSL in 2017, spent 4 seasons in Europe, first at Manchester City, then with Paris Saint-Germain before returning to our shores to join Racing Louisville last season. Fascinated in terms of the culture of the leagues. What are the biggest differences between playing NWSL and in the European leagues?
I feel in NWSL right now, it's a very physical league. Every game is so open and every game is super, super competitive and super hard. I feel in the European leagues, most of them, you have 2, 3, maximum 4 teams that are competing. The rest are not there yet. And you end up having maybe 4, 5, 6 games a year that are very, very competitive. The rest is games you're supposed to win, expected to win. And I think that's right now the biggest difference.
Closing off in England, Sunday's FA Cup final was the end of the season. And I did talk about this a little with Chelsea manager, the great Emma Hayes, in last week's episode. It feels like that league has made massive strides in terms of attendance, media coverage, facilities, but also in the real deal, the quality of play, the calibre of player the league's attracting. Given that the NWSL doesn't have much competitive contact with the Women's Super League or other European leagues outside of the Women's International Champions Cup, how much attention do you pay to them when you're playing over here?
Oh, definitely a lot. I do follow what's happening in different leagues in Europe, the league in England, in France, in Spain, because I care and because I have a lot of my teammates playing there, my friends. Plus, you want to follow the developing of the women's game because it's something that makes you proud. There were 50,000 fans at Wembley this last weekend. Real Madrid against Barcelona, sold out Camp Nou. So people are kind of having this realization that women's game is here to stay and actually is very entertaining.
Especially this year, knowing that you could be coming up against a lot of those players at the Euros, which will take place in England this July. Denmark, they're in a group with Germany and Spain. How much is that tournament on your mind?
A lot actually has been in my mind since my injury. The first thing I said is I need to get back ready on the field to be able to go to the Euros because we've qualified, I played a big role in the qualification and I want to be a part of the Euros. There's a month until we have our final camp and I spoke with the national team coach a couple of days ago. So I'm going to do my best to be ready because you want to be there. You have the best European teams competing and it's going to be amazing. And also in England, where women's game is growing as much as it's been, I'm pretty sure it's going to be a sick tournament. I don't want to miss out.
This Saturday is the Women's Champions League final. Barcelona play Lyon in Turin at 1 p.m. Eastern Time. Really a neutral's dream. We saw Barcelona absolutely demolish attendance records when they played Real Madrid in the quarterfinals. What was it? 91,000 plus delirious fans in attendance. It made my heart sore. and the defending champions, they've only dropped 1 game the entire campaign. But Lyon are dynastically the owners of this title. 5 trophies in 6 years. And Nadia, you experienced the first-hand agony of being knocked out by both Barcelona and Lyon in Champions League semi-finals when you were at PSG. Both of those teams went on to win the trophy. Yeah. How would you describe the experience of playing against these teams, of playing Champions League football at the highest levels in such a singular environment?
It can't get bigger than that. They are among top 4 best teams in the world women's team among PSG and Chelsea right now. And I had the honor playing both of them in semifinals. I remember playing against Barcelona. It's such a in-sync team. They are on the same page. They know each other so well. I mean, it makes sense. It's literally the Spanish national team with a couple of very good wingers. And I love the way they play. I think it's so in-rooted in them. They start so early to, develop the players and the philosophy of how they want to play. And imagine doing the same thing for so many years with the same players. That's a certain point, it just becomes instinct. You don't even have to think about it. Everyone's doing the right thing all the time because they've done it for so many years. This is the hardest part of Barcelona because they are so on the same page, all of them, all the time. So it's so hard to get the ball because they're like tick, 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 and they play so fast. Their weakness, I would say, is individually defending because they're always in position. Don't have the same individual players as I would say Lyon has at times. Not all the places, but certain spots. Plus that they don't get challenged or pressed all the time because, again, they play in Spain. They are the most dominant team. And Lyon speaks for himself. Look, they win everything. I've won everything last decade. And very compact team, again, with the core of the team that's the same for ages, and they know what they want. For me, it's going to be interesting to watch this final just because it's two different styles. One is tiki-taka, Barca style philosophy, and the other one is maybe at times more direct. So if Lyon's going to go out and have zero respect, that could be a game changer. To be honest, I don't know what's going to happen. I'm just excited to watch a good game. This is probably one of the best representations of women's game that you're going to have this year.
Both of these teams are absolutely stacked in terms of talent. For American fans, you got our friend Lindsay Horan at Lyon on loan from Portland. Kat Macario, one of the most scintillating members of the new wave of generational US women's national team talents.
Yeah.
A player with the ability to straight up startle opponents with the firepower of her finishing. She leads Lyon with 20 goals on the season so far. Oshuala at Barcelona, who won the Golden Boot this past weekend as Barcelona finished off their perfect Primera Division season with 30 wins in 30 games.
It's crazy.
When you look at those squads, who do you look at from either of these two teams and think, God, I wish I was playing with or against her week in, week out?
There's definitely Maro Jean at Lyon. I love watching just because she's such a technical player and she has such a crazy vision. And as a striker, you want to play with midfielders who do see your runs. And also, as in Barcelona, Irene Paredes, who played in PSG, very nasty, in a good way, nasty defender to play against. We were doing this so many times during trainings because she's such a natural born winner as well and very hard player. And also, I might say almost a bit underrated, Graham Hansen is for me one of the best women footballer there is out there right now because she is amazing. She doesn't really get the credit she deserves always, but if you've seen her play, the stuff she can do 1v1 is extraordinary. So it's going to be a sick matchup.
Barcelona and Lyon, as you say, wildly heralded as two of the best teams in Europe. To me, they are the two best. And I'm fascinated. How do you think they've done it? I speak to Americans who played for or against them, and they marvel at the tactical training, especially of the Barcelona team, which they say is next level, even to the American experience.
Yeah, definitely. The reason is, I think in US, you have a lot of, especially in the college, when players are developing, there's a lot of emphasis on strength and physicality, being able to spring and run fast. And then they start to learn the tactical aspects later. The players who do have the technical skills and the physicality, they're obviously some of the best on the national team already. Imagine if you could have the same tactics and standing and then technical ability with that physique. It will be world dominance. I mean, obviously, the US has been dominating a lot lately, but I think the rest of Europe is catching up.
Now to the NWSL, and this past weekend made it seem as if we're witnessing expansion team season. San Diego and Angel City now sit 1 and 2 in the table respectively. San Diego perfect after 3 games, stifling the Red Stars at home Sunday night. Angel City beating out a frustrated Washington Spirit with a moment of sheer poetry from Kristin Press, who eased it around a defender, found the back of the net off an impossible angle. Nadia, Kristin Press, she seems to live to use defenders as a shield to camouflage her shots.
I love her. I think she's a great player, a very natural finisher. She's one of the most complete strikers in the league. Really enjoy her playing. Yeah, good for her. Being the new team in the league, winning 3 in a row, that's impressive.
All hail to Angel City for that win. They've now beaten Thorns, Courage and Washington Spirit. An impressive beginning for a team that's still creating itself from scratch. They didn't give the Spirit any room to breathe on Sunday. You can see the frustration pouring off Trinity Rodman by the end of the game. But you do have to feel for Washington, going so deep in the Challenge Cup, so many games in so little time. That final, unnecessarily brutal, is scheduling their greatest opponent right now.
Yeah, definitely. But it's the beginning of the season. They're going to get back, I'm pretty sure. They have a good squad. Excited to see them and excited to play against them.
As an opponent, when you see a team like the Washington Spirit play a game like that final, is there a sense that they're going to be more vulnerable when they next take the field?
Yeah, definitely. Travel is not going to help because US is freaking large, and every time you travel, you need 3 days to recover. It kind of tears you down and it doesn't give you the right time to recover properly. So if you see that, yeah, okay, they had a really hard time, a hard game 4 days ago, they're going to be more tired than we are. That's a chance or a moment for us to take advantage of. Everyone does that. You hope that they will have a hard game and not an easy game. And okay, they traveled the country from one side to the other. So let's press them because they're going to be tired.
The other big story from this past weekend was a profusion of hard-fought draws. Cascadia Derby ending 0-0 after a taxing, rainy 90 minutes. Orlando Pride eking out a draw against Kansas City off a penalty in the final minute of stoppage time. The great Jessica McDonald heading one home to keep your team, Nadia, racing Louisville from going down to Houston Dash in the second half. And coming from PSG, where a 6-0 scoreline was just a normal weekend result against anyone other than Lyon, how much harder mentally is it to play in a league where any game could go either way?
Actually, that was the reason I came to the league, was because that the games are so tight. You have to be 200% to get a result, not that you're 70% and you still win 6-0. For me, that is the challenge. That's the beauty of this league. Every team is capable of beating any team. You never know what's going to happen any game. Tables are changing all the time. I love this obstacle. I love the challenge because when you achieve it and you have to fight so hard for it, the award, the feeling that you get is 10 times better.
Despite the uncertainty, do you still go into every game telling yourself, we are going to crush this team?
Yeah, definitely. If you go to a game and you don't believe you're winning, you're not going to win. That's reality.
That goes for life too, listeners. Believe me, that goes for life.
It's true though. If you don't believe in yourself, how? But for me, it's not like a fake belief. I literally believe that we have the team. I'm capable of beating any team on any given day. I've seen the way the group is like right now bonding and how we are developing as a playing team. Right now, I'll be the perfect thing to the cherry on the top, I guess. I'm working on it to get there though.
Late entries, always the most dramatic and the ones that everybody remembers. Coming up this weekend, we've got some seismic matchups. North Carolina Courage take on San Diego, Challenge Cup winners versus the Wave they told you not to worry about. Sunday, 2 p.m. Eastern Time on Paramount+. Courage have had a week to rest after their game against Gotham last weekend was cancelled due to COVID protocols. And San Diego are looking to go 4 for 4 on the season, prove this stint at the top of the table is more than just beginner's luck. And you've had experience with an expansion team. That's exactly what Racing Louisville were last year. The new kids on the block, playing their first season as the league's newest expansion side, building a club from the ground up. That is no small task. How long did it take for you guys to get your sea legs under you? Are you surprised, I guess I'm asking, by how solid San Diego and Angel City have been so far this season?
No, I'm not surprised. I think they have a good squad. And also, again, it is very early. Played 3 games. I want to see what's going to happen at the end of the season. But for me, it's been a great start and I'm happy for them. When I see them, I'm like, good for you. Well done. When it comes to us, of course, we didn't have the easiest season last year. I know one thing is on the field, one thing when everything happening off the field. But right now, definitely in a great spot with a great coach and the way we play in, I am certain of that everything's gonna come. When you're a new club, new team, you want to find your identity. You want to know who you are, what is it you want, and how is it you want to play. For us, at the beginning, we were kind of struggling to figure that out, but right now we know who we are, what we want, and how we getting it. The result hasn't been our way, and if you watch the game against Houston, especially the second half, I think the team dominate them. Not because I'm a racing player. I'm an honest person. I would have said we play, but actually the girls played an amazing game. It was unfortunate that we didn't score more goals, but that's gonna come. That's for sure. I know this. I'm envisioning this.
I love it, and thus it will come true. Tune in to find out if this visionary prophecy affirmation will come true. 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Sunday on Paramount+, when Racing go to New York to face our mate Christy Mewis's Gotham. And Nadia, we will not get to see you on the field this weekend, but give us a peek behind the curtain. Who on Louisville should we be watching if we aren't already? Fascinated by Ebony Salmon, product of the Aston Villa Academy.
Yes.
Bunch of goals last season, also one of the greatest names in sports.
She's a very instinctive player as Sam Kerr when it comes to finishes. I also love watching Savannah.
Savannah DeMello.
You know, one of the new ones. Yeah, amazing player, good flow, works her ass off, and always a joy to watch. She's a young player, but already very dominant in the field.
Jalen Howe,
who also has been playing for the US national team. I think the way she controls the games is good to watch. But for me, you know, I think what you have to look is how we play and how great the collective team we have. We have a lot of like amazing players, but for me, what makes us different than the others is that we actually work as a team and everyone's like working their ass off for each other. And this is the spirit that we have to continue to go where we want to be.
And at 6 p.m. Eastern Time on Paramount Plus, OL Reign take on the Washington Spirit. This will be their third meeting this month. It's practically a playoff best-of-7 series at this point.
Every time, huh?
The Spirit have bested Reign in their first two games and will be eager to summon the form that propelled them to a 20-game win streak pre-Challenge Cup final. OL Reign still looking for their first win of the regular season. All those games available on Paramount Plus. Visit paramountplus.com/MIBTWG to try 1 week for free. And that's it. I do want to both thank you, Nadia, but leave the last word to you. I would love you to close us out with a note of optimism. God knows we need it. This is a dark world. There is so much profound challenge all around us. I'd love to end with a bolt of joy. Tell us something that's brought you a sense of optimism this week. A person, a place, a thing in the soccer world or outside. It's just made you feel bloody good. Giving us a sense that even though it mightn't, at least for a minute we feel it's all going to be okay.
I love that. You know what? Something that every day I wake up, and this might sound a bit cliche, a bit weird, but I have this saying, and I actually text it all the time, is what a day to be alive. You never know what tomorrow's going to bring, and you never know what's going to happen while you sleep and wherever. Just enjoying every day when you wake up. I think that's what I'm grateful for. When you're alive, there's nothing that's impossible. So for me, the first thing is being alive, and then the rest gonna come. So just if you think like that, what a day to be alive, your days are going to be amazing. Who'd
you text this to? Because we all need to be on a group text to get a Nadia Nadim, what a great day to be alive text.
My Instagram, I always do this. When I see the sun, I'm like, you know what? Thank you, God, for letting me see the sun. I'm grateful for life. And you have to remember always that be grateful for what you have, because if you just travel 3 hours from here, or not even that far, there are people that don't have the best lives, and appreciate every day. It's important.
It's the greatest medical advice we could have got from the magical Dr. Nadia Nadim. Godspeed to you, Nadia.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Thanks for having me, Rach. It was amazing talking to you.